Good evening, everyone. It is August 28th, 2023, and this is just the daily chart on the ES, and you can see we're still in this little downward, I don't know what you call that, an expanding channel or something like that. Uh, we have end of month that begins, I believe, on, what would that be? Actually, tomorrow would be the beginning of end of month, I believe, 29, 30, 31. Um, T plus 2, therefore, being on the 29th. So overall, today was not an incredibly directional trading day. I'd been looking for whether we would be able to get up into kind of that 65 area. I was looking for shorts around last week's second standard deviation of VWAP around 52s. Was unable to get that. The high of the day coming in at 50ish. You can see we just spent the day balancing pretty much perfectly, making highs and lows between about 24 and 47. Back and forth, which is kind of what I was getting at here with the two-way trade idea. I got the zones a little bit off. So now what I want to see moving forward is, are we able to accept over today's highs, and then are we able to get into that 65, that prior week's RTH high around 65, get into that sort of NVIDIA earnings high around 75? Are we able to chew through this and start getting into that high time frame squeeze for end of month, or the scenario which I'm a little bit more in favor of, which I know goes against the end of month protocol, if you want to call it that, is that I would see us losing these lows, losing these amazingly perfect lows made in Globex, and start moving down lower a bit, maybe down to 43.85 or something like that. Today, we also, something to note was that the overnight and up until about 11 a.m., we did not have the euro. The European traders were not open today. We had no news. The Nasdaq, let's go to that for a second. The Nasdaq was notably weaker. Uh, it spent pretty much the entire day below the open and nearly took out its overnight low. It was also unable to break the initial balance high, whereas the ES was able to break both sides. The NQ was just able to break the low. So NQ looking a little bit weaker still ever since that NVIDIA sell. So again, this is just something I'm cognizant of, and I I'm a little bit biased to the downside. Maybe I shouldn't be. I won't be trading that way. I'll be waiting for the market generated information intraday to point me in a direction, but that is how I'm feeling in general. Tomorrow, news-wise, we got the S&P composite. I think that's the HPI or something, this or that. We got that tomorrow pre-market, and then we also have the consumer confidence and jolt as well. Yeah, that's the S&P composite 20-year, 20 HPI year over year. Not even sure what that is. I think it's about homes or something like that. So, in terms of trading this, let's get into it. Getting a bit rambly today. Tomorrow is the last session for me for a week, so then I can take a break. Let's get into this 1 hour chart. As you can tell, I'm willing to buy the dip. Let's get into this. Nothing has really changed below that 4,300, 4,400 area that I discussed yesterday. So if you wanted to hear about that, just go to that video. Above there, 12, 15, 17. Weekly VWAP close at 12, 15's weekly close, 17's weekly halfback. I would not be surprised if this puts in a low of the week and then we begin our ramp for end of month. Sort of a false breakdown into the lows, get that tag of last week's VWAP close, and then start moving upwards. Above there, 25, 29. Look, is pretty much support day. What more do I need to say? 25, 29 being now settlement highs. Notable that settlement lows are way down at 43.65 from Friday's session. So the longs are not offside in these shorter time frames at all. In fact, the shorts are going to be offside coming into tomorrow. Above there, 46, 51, and 52 half. 46 to me was pretty much today's main resi. 51 to 52 and a half was just a level. 52 and a half being last week's 95% value area high. You take out that, and I start looking at the swing high from last week, the RTH being 68s, the level being 65s. You can see it over here really well. Bid there, and that's where we churn around before selling. Above 72s, and I think you're in some danger, as that is the third standard deviation of last week's VWAP. I think you get into that breakout situation where you're starting to flirt with that higher time frame breakout narrative, the high time frame squeeze above here. So that's what I'm looking at for the ES. On the NQ, let's get a 1 hour chart going. Here we go. Nothing has really changed below 950 or so. So again, you can look at the previous video for that. Above 977.5, that being the weekly close, that is where we had a ton of bids show up. Above there, the weekly point of control at 980.5. That could also be a source of a bid. 15,004.5. That was. That's going to be. Let me make sure that is actually a spot that I want to be long. Yes, that was the IB low today, and I think that may serve as a bid tomorrow. 15,048.5. That being the settlement highs pretty much. You've also got the daily VWAP close and daily point of control and weekly halfback all in that little cluster from about 45 to 55. Also, probably notable that we're building volume on last week's value area high. That's probably productive. Above there, willing to take a short at the weekly open. That's also where we roughly close. That's also where our value area high extensions from today are. Above there, and I discussed this yesterday, I don't want to be short until above 185. Above there, and again, I think you're playing with kind of this area, this 331-ish kind of spot. Here, we can throw that in if you guys want. 331.5, something like that. I don't really think tomorrow is going to be a massive up session. Maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but I think we'll have a little bit of a move down, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we can start ramping up. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I think that's I think that would make sense to tag last week's VWAP closes and then move up from there. 351.25. That is the third standard deviation of last week's VWAP. Which reminds me, the VWAP close from last week, where the heck is that? First standard deviation at 111.5. And it appears it's not on this chart. Give me 1 second. I wonder if we hit it already. There it is. Right there. Oh, looks like we did. 991.25. That is interesting. So the NQ may very well be able to move up from here. Yeah, I am somewhat neutral coming into tomorrow. I don't have too strong of a bias, given that we already tagged that VWAP close. ES hasn't, so maybe we move down a bit, and that would line up with the NQ just being overall weaker, therefore getting a move below. But no huge bias. I'll end the video here. No huge bias coming into tomorrow, but overall leaning long, I suppose, if we do hold that VWAP close on ES and then move upwards. Anyway, have a great night. Trade safe.